Islamic Jihad has said that Israeli captive Arbel Yehud could be released ahead of Saturday's planned batch of releases. That's because Israel says it won't allow Palestinians to return to northern Gaza until the issue of her release is resolved. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office says she was supposed to have been released on Saturday. Arbel Yehud is 29 years old. She was taken from the Nir Oz kibbutz during Hamas's attack on Israel on October the 7th. She is among the last female civilians being held in Gaza. She was taken along with her boyfriend. Her brother, Dolev Yehud, was killed in Hamas's attack. Meanwhile, Israeli forces have opened fire on Palestinians waiting to cross from the southern part of the Netzarim Corridor into northern Gaza. Several Palestinians have been shot and injured on al-Rashid road, close to the buffer zone, which is occupied by the Israeli army. They were carried to nearby ambulances by crowds, despite the risk of being targeted too. Thousands of Palestinians have been waiting along the al-Rashid road to cross over to the north, but Israel has been occupying the Netzarim corridor and stopping them. Well, Hamas has accused Israel of violating part of the ceasefire deal. Families have been living on the side of the street with no shelter. Israel created the Netzarim corridor when the war began. It's a military zone about 4 kilometers wide that cuts off northern Gaza from the rest of the Strip. On Sunday, Israel had been expected to open up al-Rashid road, which runs along Gaza's coastline, for Palestinians wanting to travel north on foot. Meanwhile, another major road, the Saladin, was also expected to be open for those going by car, with vehicles subject to inspection by members of a private U.S. security company. Well, for more on this, we have Laura Khan. She's standing by for us in Amman, Jordan, because Israel has banned us from reporting in Israel on the occupied West Bank. First, let's cross to Hani Mahmoud. He's in Deir, al-Balah for us. Hani, so we have heard these developments in the last few moments. What exactly have Islamic Jihad had to say?
Well, the statement by the General Secretary of Islamic Jihad in Palestine made it clear that they made these concessions in order for displaced Palestinians to go back to the northern part of the Strip, and they're allowing for the next step to progress in terms of releasing the 5th female captives from Gaza before Saturday. That's before what's been agreed upon with regard to the terms of the agreement, that every Saturday there's a batch of captives being released in exchange for Palestinian detainees from Israeli prison. This is going to happen before Saturday, and the expectations here, it could happen at any moment, starting from the coming hours to tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, pretty much till Friday. It might take place anymore. What's really concerning right now for people here who are still here at the area that's very close to Netzarim Juncture is the announcement by the Israeli military for waiting for the moment that they will be told they can move freely to and across Netzarim Juncture into the northern part of the Strip, to their homes in Gaza and the northern part of the Strip. As of this moment, as soon as the news got out, people gathered in large crowds in the area, celebrating the step and believing it's an important step forward for people to start preparing for going back to the northern part of the Strip and their homes in Gaza after the standoff for the past hours that is threatened and feed into permanent displacement, as at least quarter of the crowd had already left by sunset time because simply there are no place for them here. There are no tents, and they went back to where they came from in the areas that they have been staying in for the past 15 months. The majority of people are staying here because what happened, they got out of the tent camps, they dismantled their tents, and they thought as soon as the 4 captives were released, they were going to cross to the northern part of the Strip as agreed upon, but they ended up spending the last night, and it looks like they're going to sleep again here in the same area.
Okay, Hani, stay with us. I'm going to come back to you in a moment after I've spoken to Laura Khan. Laura, so clearly a lot of stake with the release of this female captive, Arbel Yehud. Why is she so important?
Well, she is really the front and centre of the snag in this deal. Now, it actually, the release was supposed to be on Saturday, but instead they released 4 Israeli captives. They were supposed to begin with civilians, that was part of the deal, then move on to soldiers, and then the sick and the wounded. But because Islamic Jihad has been keeping Arbel Yehud, they say that she is actually a soldier. They don't believe that she's a civilian, so they were refusing to give her at the beginning. However, Israel is now essentially holding tens of thousands of people ransom in order to go ahead with this deal by closing that Netzarim Corridor. So, however, the Khan News Network, which is the official Israeli channel, is now saying that Israel is preparing to receive this captive at any time very soon, and that Israel is still speaking to mediators about the situation. So it seems from both sides that this is certainly going to happen before Saturday, and as Hani Mahmoud said, this could happen in the coming hours or the coming days. We are then expecting them to continue with this ceasefire deal. So we're expecting 3 Israeli captives to be released, and hundreds of Palestinian prisoners will be released over the next 6 weeks, but be 3 per week until the final week, where 14 Israeli captives will then be released. So everyone's really holding out for this to happen, and whether or not they will in turn just open that Netzarim corridor or whether they will release more Palestinian prisoners, we don't yet know. But we do know that everyone's relying on this in order for people in Gaza to return to the north.
OK, so it's still unclear when exactly Arbel Yehud is to be released. We just know that it will happen before the next Saturday deadline. You touched on the opening of the Netzarim Corridor. I mean, we have many, many thousands of people. We've seen them all gathered, Palestinians trying to return home. Has anything been said on when that is likely to open?
Absolutely not, but it seems as though everything is hinging on Arbel Yehud being released. So there was essentially Benjamin Netanyahu got together his top military brass on Friday when they realized that this captive wasn't on the list of names that was going to be released. And they decided anyway to release the Palestinian prisoners. So it wasn't enough to completely renege on the entire ceasefire deal, because they have been under a significant amount of pressure, especially from what's become known as Hostage Square in Tel Aviv. This is where families of captives have been protesting on a weekly basis since essentially the beginning of the war, when these Israeli captives were taken. And those masses have been swelling on a weekly basis. Now, it did stop for some time. However, they decided to protest again on Saturday to really push Netanyahu to complete this deal. So internally, domestically, he is under a huge amount of pressure. So both sides are really relying on this deal to take place. And his one piece of leverage has been the Netzarim Corridor, which many believe is now pushing the Palestinian Islamic Jihad to release her sooner than the next batch coming on Saturday.
OK, many thanks for that. Laura Khan there for us in Amman. Let's return back to Hani Mahmoud. He is just south of the Netzarim Corridor on al-Rashid Road. Hani, you were listening there to Laura. No indication really on when the Netzarim Corridor is likely to be opened. How is that affecting the mood there? The thousands of people who've been waiting all day to return back home to the north. What are the conditions like for the people there? We've also heard that there's been shooting by Israeli forces on some of the people there. So how is this affecting them all?
Well, up till the moment the announcement was made and the statement by Islamic Jihad was released, everybody was feeling the despair from the crowd here. We walked by the people who were talking to each other, showing a great deal of worry that this is going to feed into more ongoing displacement for them, as no signs of this particular issue to be sorted out anytime soon. In terms of how people are spending the time here, the past 24 hours have been quite difficult. People left their tents, left the homes that they were renting or staying with other people in the central area and the southern part of the strip, and decided they were going to stay here, and it was not going to take them a couple hours until they crossed, but it took them last night, and it's likely to take this night as well, and it caused like high level of anxiety, high level of concern. We've seen people just taking the ground here, sleeping on the ground without any blankets, without any heavy clothes to put on. The al-Rashid road is a coastal road, and it gets really cold right now because of its winter time, and given the location that is near the sea, it gets really cold at night. We've seen some attempts here by the displaced people resetting tents here, building but smaller ones. It's more of a temporary shelters until they're able to cross back to the northern part of Gaza Strip. We talked to some people here, and they said they already dismantled their tents in the tent camps, and they're not going to go back and build it. They want to get rid of the idea of being in a tent. However, they should also express concern that they're going to uncertain future in the northern part of the strip, as the homes that they knew them before October 7th are not the same. They're going back to a pile of rubble, and they will reset their tents once again. So something that's keep unfolding in each passing day.
Okay, many thanks for now. Hani Mahmoud there for us just south of the Netzarim Corridor reporting.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.